Just a quick update, the Patreon page is now live. The link will be down below if you want to check it out. You'll have access to all of my betting packages and much more. Thanks again for all the support, but for now, let's get into the video.
Yo, what's up guys, we're back for another video. This week it's UFC Fight Night Sandhagen versus Dillashaw. Pretty good card. It's a mixture of old guys, new guys, and there's some cool matchups on here, so it's going to be a fun card. The main event is awesome, obviously. But before we get started, like I always want to give a big shout out to my sponsors. First sponsor, Equity Sports Analytics. They're professional handicappers for all sports. They do an excellent job. They really go above and beyond for their clients right now. They're obviously offering this 4-day free trial, and they also are offering the dividends program where they will pay you $25 per unit lost over a 2-week period, risk-free. So essentially, if you just bet $25 a unit, you lose every single bet. You're not going to be losing any money, and they haven't had to pay anybody out since May, so it's been quite a long time. They've been winning a lot of money recently. They've generated 60.39 units of profit since March 1st of this year. And if you look at every play is transparently documented. It's easy to read in the results section. Like always, you can find them at equitysportsanalytics.com. Friends don't let friends gamble without math, so definitely check them out. They're a great resource and they do a great job. And then also we have the Get Fanatics Fantasy MMA app, where we have our year-long contest going on right now for the $100, but essentially the website is right here where you make a pick who you think is going to win. You could pick the method of victory, and it will triple boost your odds. So essentially you're just going to try to get 3-to-1 odds off what you're going to pick if you can pick the correct finish, and you're going up against the Vegas odds. So they have the odds right here. You could see, for instance, Cory Sandhagen -195. Dillashaw +170. So if you pick Dillashaw, you get it correct, you get $170. And essentially you're just going up against a group where you're picking it for yourself, and you could see how you would do betting that night or just how you did overall in your picks, and you get to create a little community or join a community, and you could see and compare with them, and just kind of have fun that way. So it's a really cool website, and they have a lot of information on the fighters as well, so you could definitely check it out. They have an app, so go check it out, Fanatics Fantasy MMA app. Sign up to the group if you want to have a chance to win the $100. We got quite a few people signed up there right now, so really appreciate all of them. And so check out the Fanatics Fantasy MMA app. Moving into the breakdown here, we got the first fight at night, Diana Bobita taking on Hannah Goldie. And really low-level fight here, but Bobita, she's 0-2 so far in the UFC. This is probably going to be her last chance to get a win. She fought all her fights at bantamweight or flyweight in her career, so this is going to be the first time she's ever going to drop down to strawweight. She's going to be a big girl if she can make the weight correctly. She's going to have a 7.5-inch reach advantage. She's going to have a 3-inch height advantage in this fight. And Bobita actually started pretty decent in her last fight. She ended up doing well on the feet, but got caught in an armbar against Liana Jojua. And that's the third time that Bobita has fallen victim to the armbar. 4 times she's been submitted. So clearly that's a problem for her. She has been submitted multiple times, and her resume overall is just very bad. If you look at her wins, she's kind of the definition of a can crusher. But then you have Hannah Goldie, who's making a return to the octagon for the first time in nearly 2 years. She was scheduled to face Jessica Penne earlier this year, but was forced out of 2 different scheduled fights with Penne. One time she got COVID. I think she sustained an injury the second time. And she started her UFC career 5-0, but her debut against Miranda Granger, she didn't really perform well and definitely looked bad there, lost a decision. And this fight's going to be huge, in my opinion, in determining whether Goldie is going to stay in the UFC or flame out, because both these girls are really the highest level on the totem pole. I don't think Goldie will be cut necessarily if she loses, but I believe that, it'll give us kind of a signifier of where she's at, almost 30 years old. But Bobita, she's the bigger girl. She's going to have the power advantage, but she's very awkward with her movement. She's slow. She throws pretty hard jabs, 3-2s, and in the clinch she's good. She has good knees. She'll use judo throws. She has pretty good elbows. She's durable, and she can keep a pretty good pace. And when she gets on top, she is pretty effective with their ground and pounds. In this fight for Hannah Goldie, I think she's going to have that same game plan she did on the Dana White Contender Series, which is try to use her speed, her footwork, In terms of Goldie's striking, I'm really not that impressed. She does throw straighter punches than Bobita. I see her looking to try to counter with the right cross a lot. She uses a lot of lead leg attacks, try to keep the range, and she will do a good job of throwing some inside leg kicks to straight right hands or left hooks. She will come forward with some big hooks or straight punch combinations, and she does a good job of sometimes finishing combinations with the high kick, which can be dangerous. Her kicks to me and her punches don't really have a lot of pop, though. Grappling-wise, Goldie doesn't really look to grapple. She was very strong at 115 pounds, but her grappling is green. She has decent takedown defense, but not the best. I do think Bobita will be superior in the clinch. I think she's going to be more aggressive, probably try to get that Muay Thai plum. Goldie, she's proven to do good work in the clinch herself with knees, but I think Bobita is just going to be a little bit too physical there. Bobita does like to go for takedowns, which I think is kind of low IQ thing in a lot of her fights, but I'm sure she's going to do it again here. I see her probably being able to get a takedown or two. And Goldie, she hasn't really shown much jiu-jitsu or much of anything off of her back, but she has been working a lot with Julian Robertson, so I'm a little bit worried that if Bobita gets a takedown, maybe Goldie can hit an armbar or something, but she's never really shown that skill set previously. She has one submission via guillotine. I think Bobita should be the favorite in this fight, but to have faith in either girl really to me is tough. I think Bobita's going to be able to walk down Goldie, cut the cage off, land the bigger punches, probably do the better work in the clinch, and I think Goldie is going to try to use her, footwork, cut angles, but she just doesn't have big power. I think Bobita's a dog. She's going to walk through what Goldie has to offer and be able to give her own, and when she does give it, I think it's going to be just superior firepower to what Goldie is throwing out there. I wouldn't be shocked at all, though, if Goldie is able to move and land volume on Bobita, win the fight that way. I wouldn't also be shocked if Bobita somehow found her way into a submission. I just essentially have very little faith in either girl here. I am going to pick Bobita right now. I think that she probably should be the favorite. I don't really agree with the line, personally. But, I don't really think betting on Bobita is a good proposition either. So, for me, I'm going to go with Diana Bobita in this one to get the win. But, very low-level fight here. In this next fight, we got Sijara Eubanks. She's going to be making a return, taking on the debuting Elise Reed, who is a defending champion over there at Cage Fury, fighting championships. I think she defended her belt a couple times, and she's a decent fighter, but very young in her career at 4-0. Sijara Eubanks, this is going to be her 12th UFC appearance if you count the Ultimate Fighter, and just like her overall record of 6-6, her 10th UFC appearance, and she's 4-4 in the promotion, so in actual UFC fights, I think she went undefeated on the Ultimate Fighter in the house, so she does have her wins there, but just like her professional record, 500, and, but in this fight, she definitely should be the rightful favorite, which she is, and with Elise Reed, it's going to be a big performance for her to get the win here, in my opinion, because she's coming in here on short notice. She is a strawweight champion, but she's moving up a division. She's been taking on a lot of smaller girls. For instance, she just fought Jillian DeCourcy, who's an atomweight, and I just feel like coming up to flyweight, she's going to be facing a really big fighter in Sijara Eubanks, who is coming down from bantamweight, who dominated the Ultimate Fighter at flyweight. Beat some ranked girls like Roxanne Modafferi, like Lauren Murphy, who's fighting for the title pretty dominantly. And I just feel like if she can make that weight class, and be efficient with it, she's going to be a lot to deal with for Reed. But Reed, she's a striker. She has pretty good footwork and movement. In this fight, she's going to have to be hitting and moving, cutting angles, and she does a good job of using feints, kicks, head movement. She sets her combinations up pretty well. Good jab. She will close the gap with some 1-2s, 3-2s, and she throws some nice long combos. She's pretty quick with her hands, and her right hand is pretty good. Her kicking game isn't bad either. She will let all kinds of kicks go with both legs. She has good dexterity. She doesn't really have big power in her kicks. They're more about kind of just keeping the range. But fighters who can back her up against the cage and throw combinations can land on Reed. And Reed doesn't check low kicks. I don't think she's going to really have the power to phase Eubanks much. I think Eubanks is going to be able to walk her down. So she's going to need to be on her bike, cutting a lot of angles, switching stances, throwing volume, and trying to keep Eubanks off balance. she does have championship experience technically, but in CFFC they don't have 5-round main events. There's still only 3 rounds, even title fights. So I believe she did have a 4-round fight where I'm not sure what happened with what was her name, with Jillian DeCourcy. But I believe that they don't have 5-round title fights, so she's never been 5 rounds. And she's had issues with grapplers throughout her career. I mean, I just think she's going to struggle with the grappling of Eubanks. If you watch her fight with Jasmine Judavicius, who's primarily a striker, she was able to hit some pretty easy clinch takedowns on Reed. DeCourcy was able to get several takedowns as well. And Reed does have decent sweeps. She's a pretty good scrambler. But in this fight, I really see her struggling to be able to sweep or get back up to her feet against a credentialed black belt like Eubanks, a big girl. Reed does have good submission defense. She got placed in some bad positions against Hillary Rose, against DeCourcy, but she was able to stay calm, find her way out of them. And she has good composure, cardio, and at 115 pounds, she probably can get wins in the UFC, but if Eubanks can't win this fight, that's going to be a very bad loss. She's going to have a huge size advantage. And the way Reed fights, her movement may be a small issue for Eubanks, but Reed puts herself against the cage. Her takedown defense to me is not up to par. It's a different matchup for Eubanks, though, as she was, if you look at her career, she's faced almost entirely all grapplers or pressure fighters. The only fighter I would say that isn't one of those type of fighters is Caitlin Chookagian, and Eubanks did lose that fight, but obviously Chookagian is a really big girl, tall, really athletic. I don't think you can really compare Reed to Caitlin Chookagian. But Eubanks is going to have to find Reed, try to catch her kicks, or just back her up to the fence, level change. If she can get in the clincher around the legs of Reed, I think she's going to be able to take her down. I'm almost positive, and I think Eubanks will dominate position as well. Eubanks is known for gassing, but I don't really think Reed will be able to deny the takedowns or have a good enough get-up game or, submission game off her back to make Eubanks really work. Reed will attack with elbows off her back. Like I said, she has decent sweep game, but Eubanks is probably going to be able to sit in half guard or full guard and just smush Reed, land elbows. It's a tailor-made matchup for Eubanks, especially if she looks good on the scales since this is at 125 pounds. You never really know with Eubanks at that weight class if she's going to even make the fight. But she looks good on social media. I just think that she's a step above her opponent here. Even if Reed forces Eubanks to strike, I think Eubanks can pressure, land some hard shots of her own, mix in some low kicks, and usually I fade Sijara, but I kind of think this is a good spot for her in my opinion, and I think she's going to get the win here. So give me Sijara Eubanks in this one. With this next fight, we got Julio Arce taking on Andre Ewell. Close fight here. Julio Arce is making his return to the cage. He's taken away nearly 2 years, which seems to be a theme for a lot of fighters on this card, but Arce seems like he's had a lot of layoffs throughout his career. He hasn't fought since his split decision loss to Dawodu in 2019, and he did have double elbow surgery. He's also dropping down 135 pounds for the first time since 2016. So I don't really know why he's such a big favorite, but I do believe that the line should be a little bit closer. Arce, he is a Golden Gloves boxer. He has very sharp hands. He has a good lead hand. His jab is really sharp. He has a good check left hook and really nice straight right hand. And on the inside, he does throw some nice combinations. He's very skillful. And he does a good job of picking his shots. He touches Arosa, or he touched Arosa up a ton as Arosa was coming in. He did a good job countering. And he did a good job fighting with his back against the cage. And, he was doing a good job slipping and ripping, going to the body. Good kicking game as well. He throws some nice front kicks up the middle, good head kicks. His last win, he obviously finished Arosa with a nice head kick. And he's very tough, too. I mean, if you watch this fight against Sheymon Moraes, he had his face busted open, but he just kept coming and, never gave up at all. He's never been finished by strikes, and he's a well-rounded fighter. I mean, he's more of a striker, but he's pretty good in the clinch. He'll get double underhooks. He'll look for the body lock. He will try to circle to the back. And at 135 pounds, he probably will be pretty strong and physical. But I haven't really seen Arce be able to control someone on top very well. He's kind of a guy who just tries to jump on the back, look for rear naked chokes, opportunistic submission guy. And he's not a super grappler. Like, he's not really going to look for a lot of takedowns. He's more of a range striker. He really only goes for the grappling if he's losing on the feet. He does have 5 submissions. They're all rear naked chokes, so obviously you see kind of what he wants to do from there. And with Andre Ewell, I mean, he's been kind of like a yo-yo. He's been up and down, really had no consistency. He did string 2 wins together. He beat Jonathan Martinez, Erwin Rivera, but lost his last fight to Chris Gutierrez. And, you know, we all kind of know what Andre Ewell's style is by now. He's a southpaw. Actually, this is going to be a southpaw versus southpaw matchup. So we got Ewell, who's, you know, a lot longer. He's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. He's going to have the 1-inch height advantage. And he's going to be trying to snipe with that left hand, use the 1-2, use the movement. And, you know, I feel like he has really fast hands. He's good in the pocket as well. He'll slip and rip. He'll let it go. You've seen him brawl in certain fights, so he has no problem doing that. He probably is going to be the faster guy, I would say, in there. And the thing about Ewell is he's durable as well, and he's tough. I mean, he's never been finished by strikes. And, you know, he's a tough guy. He fought against Jonathan Martinez with a broken arm. And I feel like Ewell, you know, he's going to try to mix in, you know, some kicks as well. I think he's going to try to mix in that front kick that he's been throwing. Maybe even try to mix in some calf kicks similar to, you know, what opponents have been doing to him. He's really struggled with these calf kickers, with these guys like Jonathan Martinez, like Chris Gutierrez. And I don't really see Julio Arce posing that problem. He doesn't really throw leg kicks, Arce. Arce isn't really a grappler either, which is what Ewell has struggled with in the past. But I feel like Ewell has also improved his grappling quite a bit. He's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Takedown defense has improved. I don't necessarily see Arce being able to just take him down or take his back, control him in the clinch. I think that it's probably going to be a stand-up fight. And I think it's going to be kind of like a, you know, low volume to kind of, you know, maybe like average volume type of fight where they're at mid-range. They're kind of like probing each other, and I think that's the Andre Ewell type of fight. So to me, I feel like Andre Ewell is a good pick here as an underdog, and I'm going to pick Andre Ewell to get the victory here. I think that he's going to be able to outpoint Julio Arce. He's been a lot more active recently. I feel like he's going to have the speed, the reach advantage, and it's going to be primarily kind of a boxing fight. I saw Julio Arce kind of struggle a little bit with those pull counter 2s against Shaman Moraes, and Andre Ewell obviously is going to be looking for those same techniques. So I'm going to go with Andre Ewell here. I mean, I feel like the time off for Arce is going to play a factor here. I think that, you know, him making that drop down potentially could play a factor because he hasn't made that drop down since 2015. And I just feel like Ewell is going to get a fight he wants. It's going to be fairly close, and he could get the win here. So I like Andre Ewell in this. Moving on here, I don't know how this fight is on the prelims. I feel like it should be a main card fight. But we got Adrian Yanez taking on Randy Costa. This is you know, it's a fun fight. It's like MMA Twitter kind of build up the fight. They got the Dr. Pepper versus Reese's going on. And, you know, they've kind of made this kind of a big deal type of fight, even though it's in a low level, not low level. They're both pretty good fighters, but it's a low weight class. They aren't really big names in the UFC yet. They have not that many fights, and they made it, you know, a fight that a lot of fans are talking about, a lot of fans care about. And man, I mean, just their styles and the way the fight's going to play out is probably going to be super entertaining as well. I see a lot of people extremely confident in Adrian Yanez this week, and man, I mean, he like if you look at it on paper, he'll probably get the win, or you have to pick him if you're picking, you know, just trying to be smart, right? But Randy Costa, man, you got to be careful with someone like that, man. That guy, he has that it factor about him, man. I mean, those 2 knockouts he had were real wild, man. Really early. He has all of his knockouts like that. I've seen Yanez, if you go back and watch his fight right before he went to the UFC against Kyle Estrada, he did get hit with the head kick in the first round. He wore it pretty well in that fight, but I mean, he was struggling with the low kicks as well. He hasn't really fought a lot of guys that are kickers since that fight with Kyle Estrada. He's fought Gustavo Lopez, pressure wrestler. He fought Victor Rodriguez, who kind of like you know, another wrestler that brawled through hands. He fought that guy Brady Huang on Contender Series, but that fight was only about 30 seconds long. But man, I mean, Randy Costa, he's been over there at Sanford MMA. He's probably improving a lot. He hasn't fought in quite a while. He's a young guy, 27 years old. And he's going to have a chance to get that finish in the first round. He's very dynamic, really good cross, really awkward movement. He throws really weird strikes, you know, and he's dangerous, super dangerous. But like I said, it's just hard to pick him as the winner because you look at all of his wins, they've been in the first round. The one fight that went past the first round against Brandon Davis, he clearly slowed down in that fight. He was, tired. Davis was able to pressure, start using his boxing, hurt him, submitted him. And Yanez is a guy that's a pressure fighter, man. A great boxer, a great counter guy. If you start to get tired, a little sloppy, Yanez is going to make you pay for it, man, and he's going to hurt you. And, another thing is Randy Costa, I feel like he's kind of susceptible to low kicks. We saw that against Brandon Davis. I think Yanez is going to try to maybe throw some calf kicks here in this fight, try to just walk him down early, keep the guard high, be very safe. I don't see Yanez going out there and getting an early finish. Maybe he'll get a first-round finish. I mean, who knows? But I do think he's going to be very cautious early. I think he's going to have, his guard high. He's just going to try to pressure, let Randy Costa throw a lot of his wild techniques out, maybe get some of that energy out of him. And then I think the second and third rounds he's going to pressure him, start going to work. But Randy Costa has a chance to finish in that first round. I really believe that. Yanez has never been finished before. He's a really tough guy. So I just feel like the pressure boxing, maybe he's going to mix in some low kicks, is eventually going to kind of wear on Costa, get him out of there. I think Yanez is going to be smart, be able to avoid that early knockout. So I'm going to go with Adrian Yanez in this one, but this is a fight I'm really looking forward to, and I think either guy could win, and either guy could put someone on a poster, man. So it's going to be a fun fight, and I'm looking forward to see who wins this one. And up next, this is another fight that I think stylistically on paper should be a fun one, with Ian Heinisch taking on Nassourdine Imavov. Ian Heinisch couldn't make it 2 in a row. He was calling himself Ian Heinisch 2.0. He was really pumping himself up. He was really confident going into that fight. He thought he was going to go in there, take Kelvin Gastelum's shine, and jump into that top 10, start to get big matchups. But same thing kind of happened again, man. He got taken down, didn't really show those improvements that he said that he had. But he has some good wins in the UFC as a name, and he probably is going to have a sense of urgency here, because this is going to be his third loss, his last 4 fights. So I'm sure he's going to come in here really ready to go, and he's going to be really trying to get that victory. But Nassourdine Imavov is going to be trying to do the same thing, man. He went in there, second UFC fight, and he suffered his first loss in six fights to Phil Haas. He couldn't stop the grappling. He kind of neutralized the wrestling to an extent. He was able to stuff a lot of the takedowns, but couldn't get off the cage, and I'm sure he's hoping for a more free-flowing fight here against Ian Heinisch. And it's going to be a really interesting fight. On the feet, I favor Imavov pretty significantly. I just feel like he's going to be able to kind of do what his name is, the sniper, where he's going to be moving, he's going to be looking to counter with that, pull 2, with the 1-2s, with the 3-2s. He has a pretty nice left hook as well, and really fast hands. I just feel like he has really good movement. He's going to be able to kind of see what Ian Heinisch has coming, because Ian Heinisch really, to me, real kind of choppy, plotty footwork. He is explosive, throws pretty hard. I don't really think he has huge knockout power, but he wings those big overhands. You'll throw that big high kick. He has some nice calf kicks. I feel like the calf kicks are what Ian Heinisch is going to try to go to on the feet here. Calf kicks, pressure, try to, bully Imavov to the cage, hold him there. Because I think if Imavov is, either pressuring or he's able to just control the center with his feints and his counters, it's going to really be a struggle for Heinisch on the feet. I think he's going to get tagged up a lot trying to come in. And Heinisch isn't really the greatest wrestler. I mean, he hasn't really won any fights in his UFC career where he's had a heavy wrestling game plan. He's won some fights with grappling in a way where he was able to tire guys out with his anti-grappling, with his really good scrambling. But he's not a guy that's going to take you down, hold you down, control you on top, kind of like he's not going to do what Islam Makhachev just did last weekend. So, I don't really know if he's going to be super successful holding down Imavov if he does try that game plan. And Imavov also has shown, he has decent get-ups against the cage. If you take him down in the center of the octagon, might be a little bit of a struggle. Heinisch might be able to control him for the whole round potentially, because don't really like his get-ups there. But against the cage, his get-ups are good, and he has really good front choke counters. So, You know, he does a good job attacking with the front choke, forcing guys to go to their backs. He did that against Jordan Williams. He was able to even hit some reactive takedowns of his own against Jordan Williams. So it's not like his grappling is null and void, and he's only 25 years old. So I expect a guy like Nassourdine Imavov, as he's starting to accrue more and more experience as well in the UFC. I see him, you know, improving in his performances. That fight with Phil Haas, you know, Phil Haas is a beast wrestler, man. He's huge. He fought at 205, and I feel like Phil Haas is super physical. He's even more physical than a guy like Ian Heinisch, and Imavov was able to do fairly well with him. In the third round, he had Phil Haas really hurt pretty badly, and he had him very tired. You know, Ian Heinisch has an 18% takedown offense, and a majority of those takedowns that he had were against Omari Akhmedov in that third round when Akhmedov got very tired. That is one thing I will give Ian the advantage in this fight, is I do think he's probably the guy with the better cardio. He might be able to push and win that third round. And he's durable, so I think he'll be able to last. But I think it's going to just be Imavov probably being able to edge those first two rounds, maybe even being able to win all three rounds just with his distance control, his counters, his footwork, his striking. I think he's going to be able to deny enough takedowns. If he does get taken down a couple times, I think he'll be able to get back up. And I just see him kind of getting the victory here. Heinisch might be able to steal that third round potentially, but I got Nassourdine Imavov in this one, getting the win. Man, the good fights just keep on coming. As next up we got Punahele Soriano taking on Brendan Allen. Really high level kind of fight to see who's going to be this next hot prospect here at 185, because Punahele Soriano, this is his big opportunity. He's been looking for it his whole career probably. He's 8-0, and he's built up a decent enough resume, but now he's getting a chance to jump into the top 15. And if he can beat up a guy like Brendan Allen, who Brendan Allen has been in there with top 15 guys, he has wins over top 15 guys. You know, this is the best fighter that Soriano has faced. So if he can go in there and get the win, it'll say a lot. He'll probably jump into a top 10 matchup next. And he has a lot of good things going for him. He's a big, athletic, tough Hawaiian. He's training at a great gym in Extreme Couture. Soriano's a southpaw. He has a wrestling background. He has one-punch knockout power. So he's an interesting prospect. On the feet, he is a little bit wild. He comes forward. He throws bombs, big, wide shots. But at his best, you know, if you saw in his fight against Dusko, he straightened it up a little bit. He started feigning his way in, using more 1-2s, 3-2s, and his straight left hand is vicious, man. I mean, he has some of the most one-punch knockout power in that division for sure, because you see, you know, Dusko Todorovic in his fights with other people, man, he's eating some bombs, like when he fought Teddy Ash on the Contender Series, when he fought Gregory Rodriguez. And Punahele Soriano was able to really, really hurt him pretty badly multiple times, drop him, and showed just supreme power right there. And Soriano, you know, he will look for that rear high kick as well. And, you know, he's definitely not a great kicker, but he will kind of try to mix that in there. And he's most dangerous when he can get fighters backed up against the cage. He has thunderous power in both hands, very explosive. And Dusko Todorovic was able to have some success early on. He was controlling the center with his feints, his kicks, his long strikes. But once Soriano found his rhythm, got his range, he just took Dusko out brutally. In this fight with Brendan Allen, I don't think he's going to have much trouble finding Allen. Allen loves to just come forward, stay in opponents' faces. Soriano does have 6 knockouts in his career. And Soriano also has a strong grappling background. He's a former judo player. He's a high school wrestling state champion. Obviously trains at a great wrestling and grappling gym in Extreme Couture. And he's a powerhouse. He has a low crouch stance. It's going to make it hard to shoot in on him. I do feel fighters who could, you know, time him loading up on his punches, level change under that, may have some success taking him down. So maybe try to be a little bit less wild in this one. In his 8 fights, he really hasn't faced any good wrestlers. So Brendan Allen is really the first grappler I would say Soriano has fought that's at a high level. I haven't really seen Soriano off his back. I don't really know his jiu-jitsu level. Cardio-wise, I don't really know a lot about Soriano either. I feel like he does kind of slow down a little bit if you saw that fight he had against Jamie Pickett. But Brendan Allen, he got back in the win column. He dominated Carl Roberson. He finished him in the first round. And he's done a great job in the UFC. He's gone 4-1. He's defeated guys like Kevin Holland, Carl Roberson, Kyle Dawkins, Tom Breeze. And his striking is definitely a means to an end. He's powerful. If he can land on you, he's he can knock you out, but he's just doesn't really have a lot there. His defense is very bad. Good jab. He will let go with the calf kicks, some big overhands or hooks, but just very obvious with his forward pressure. He doesn't move his head. That makes him super hittable. He absorbs 4.19 strikes per minute, which is a very large number for a middleweight. Sean Strickland was able to land 94 significant strikes on Allen in less than 2 rounds. So, Allen has shown good durability, but taking that kind of punishment against a guy like Punahele Soriano, I don't think that's possible. I think Soriano will probably be able to take him out if he lands even half that amount of strikes. He has only been finished that one time by strikes in his career. And in the clinch, he's good. He has good knees. He's good in the clinch. And it's hard to call because we haven't really seen Soriano in terms of grappling. We saw a little bit against Jamie Pickett, against Oscar Piholta, but not really enough to form a strong opinion. Soriano was threatened a little bit with the Kimuras against Piholta. He almost had Piholta sweep and get on top of him at one point. Against Brendan Allen, if I were Puna, I would just try to avoid grappling at all costs because Allen will be comfortable there. He's very slick. He's tricky. Puna can wrestle, but just use it in reverse for this fight. On the feet, he has freakish power. If he lands a few times clean, Allen could get put out cold potentially. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Soriano go out there and get a first-round knockout. Soriano did get a little bit tired in his fight with Jamie Pickett. He went for takedowns in the second and third round and was able to control on top. Against Allen, he's going to need to have to set a pace he can keep because, if Allen takes his power early, makes him go to deep waters, he won't be able to have that out to just take him down and control him. Allen, he's good at making fights, grappling fights, and I don't really think you could be super confident on either side because of the unknowns. If Allen gets on top, potentially, could just get a quick finish. And, in his last fight, he did show a leg lock game. So he's improving everywhere, man. He's dangerous. But every fight starts on the feet. And I'm going to pick Soriano to land that big shot early on that really hittable Brendan Allen. Put him out in the first round. I think that his wrestling is good enough as well to stuff a few takedowns. Allen isn't the best wrestler. So Soriano, if it gets into the later rounds, I think that's where he could get in a little bit of trouble. But I'm going to pick him to win via first-round knockout here against Brendan Allen. It's an interesting fight, though, because Allen has so much more experience against higher-level guys. Both guys have one way they could defeat each other, and we're just going to see who can implement their game plan and, implement their will to get the win here. But for me, I'm going to go with Punahele Soriano. To kick off the main card here, we got Mickey Gall taking on Jordan Williams. And Jordan Williams, he's making the drop back down to 170. He's getting a nice opportunity here. He's taking on a pretty big name in Mickey Gall. And Williams, he's made a lot of good changes for this camp, and they could pay big dividends for his career going forward, potentially. He's always been a very small middleweight who didn't really cut weight because of diabetes, things like that. And now he's moved to California, or he's moved from California to Colorado. He's training full-time at Factory X, and the UFC must have hooked him up or somehow helped him with his weight cut because he's decided to move back down to welterweight for the first time since 2016. And he's going to be much more properly sized for welterweight. With his skill set, I think he has a chance to do fairly well. He's not the most technical guy, but he's a dog. He's an excellent chin, brings the war every time out, good wrestler, and he's very aggressive on the feet. He's a southpaw. He loves the 3-2 combination. He'll leap into that right hook. He's pretty accurate with his straight and overhand left, and he definitely packs power in that punch. He's improving with his jab a little bit. He started using it a little more in recent fights, but still isn't something he's the best at. On the inside, he will brawl with you, and he's a good brawler because he's super durable, throws power hooks. He doesn't really have the best kicking game. And the style that he has, just coming forward, kind of like a Brendan Allen type of style, except he's more of a brawler. He takes a lot of damage as well. He relies a lot on his athleticism, power, and durability. Very explosive. And he has knockout power, so you can't really exchange with him. And he always can knock you out in any given instant. He's knocked out big guys like Gregory Rodriguez. So at 170, he's definitely going to have some pop. And he has a wrestling background. He will mix it up. If you watch his fight with Tim Kerr, and he's strong. He likes to use punch combinations to back fighters up, push him against the cage. He has good dirty boxing, good knees, good takedowns against the cage. He isn't really a super active wrestler, but always has it in his back pocket. I've heard him talking about it this week, and I think it's a good strategy to use against Mickey Gall. He, on top, is pretty decent with his ground and pound and control. He isn't the most dangerous on the ground, but he's serviceable. He doesn't really look for submissions. He does have one submission in his career, but he just really wants to try to stay heavy in full guard, half guard, work elbows, work short shots. He did that well against Tim Karen. He was able to keep the top pressure, work some ground and pound, got him tired, and eventually finished him in that third round. And Williams, in a lot of his fights, pushes the pace and has pretty good cardio. He's gotten 3 third-round finishes out of his 9 wins. But in his last fight, for some reason, I don't know if it's because of the damage he took or what it was, but he really gassed out. He had, poor cardio in that fight. But, in most of his fights, he's shown good cardio. He proved his defensive wrestling and cardio is good in grappling fights as well against Ramazan Kurmagomedov. I feel like he won that fight. He was able to win the third round. Imavov was able to hit 1 reactive takedown on Williams, but, he was 1 for 8 on takedown attempts. Williams did attempt a few very sloppy takedowns on Imavov that, got him put in front chokes and put on his back where he was controlled. And he was controlled for about 5 minutes of that fight. So he needs to be a little bit more smart in the way that he shoots in on a guy like Mickey Gall. And Mickey Gall, he's had one of the strangest careers in MMA history. I mean, he made himself one of the bigger mid-card names in the UFC in a really bizarre fashion. He was 1-0 when he signed with the UFC, fought Mike Jackson, then he fought CM Punk, which was obviously a big spectacle. Then he defeated Sage Northcutt, and he had a lot of buzz a couple years ago, but since then he's fizzled a bit. He's gone 2-3. But it's fairly impressive. He's been able to mix it with some of these higher level guys with such limited experience. And he's clearly, not as skilled as a lot of his opponents he's faced. And it's played out, that's why he's gotten a lot of losses. But he's improving though. In his last fight, his striking looked better than ever against Mike Perry. And I feel like he's going to be trying to kind of use that striking again in this fight because I don't think he's going to be able to take down a guy like Jordan Williams. I don't think he wants to wrestle with him. He's shown that, if you could put Mickey Gall on his back, he doesn't really have the best game on bottom. He's too complacent on his back, stays on bottom, and doesn't really have a great submission game. I think Williams could just control him there. So I feel like Gall's going to come in there looking to have that similar game plan to his last fight where he's staying long, trying to use his hands, and he's going to be trying to touch Jordan Williams up as he comes in. He's very hittable, maybe try to catch him and knock him out, but I feel like Gall isn't going to have the power to hurt Williams, and I think Williams is going to have the power to hurt Mickey. So I think Williams is going to get confident by walking him down, taking a couple of his shots, seeing he could eat the power, then landing on Mickey Gall and seeing the reaction. And I think that he is going to mix in some takedowns, hopefully. It would be smart for him to mix in some takedowns, control on top, and try to seal rounds that way, because I feel like if you look at Mickey Gall's career, that's the way that he's lost a lot of his fights. And I think Jordan Williams could do that here. He's going to be the bigger guy. He's used to fighting bigger guys. And I think he could just pressure, control him against the cage, use his dirty boxing, takedowns, land some big punches, and just kind of bully Mickey Gall, show him that, he's the stronger, tougher guy, and get the win in there. So I'm going to go with Jordan Williams here. And in this next fight, man, this is kind of an intriguing matchup right here because we got one girl in Macy Barber who obviously is a young girl. She's 23. She's lost 2 fights in a row, but she used to be kind of like, her nickname is The Future. She was the future of that division. They were really pushing her. They were kind of trying to market her as potentially being the youngest champion in UFC history. And it hasn't gone as planned. She lost to Roxanne Modafferi, had the injury, came back, fought Alexa Grasso, suffered that decision loss in that fight. And now she's getting thrown to Miranda Maverick, who's kind of the new, she's young as well, 24. And a lot of people are saying she could potentially be, the next big girl, big time name in the division that could, potentially be the champ, things like that. So it's really intriguing. It's like, can Macy Barber, who's had 2 losses in a row, go in there, take out Miranda Maverick? And if she does, she's going to kind of be right back in that position as the top young prospect. But if Miranda Maverick can go in there and beat Macy Barber, then she's going to get that big name on her, on her scalp, or she's going to get that big name scalp, and she's going to be able to kind of, move towards fighting more bigger names, like top 10 names, top 15 names, and seeing if she can mix it with those girls. So it's going to be a really intriguing fight here. I think Maycee Barber, she went to Team Alpha Male for this one, and I like that because I feel like Rufus Sport, obviously, you know, they've always had that kind of style, you know, like they had the Pettis brothers. They obviously have Duke Rufus and those guys that were Taekwondo guys, kickboxers, and you got Pettis, you got Sergio, you got a lot of people that I feel like, you know, it's not really a conducive style to Maycee Barber. Maycee Barber wants to come forward, you know, throw heat, try to get into clinch, bully you, get on top, use your ground and pound, and I feel like Team Alpha Male is a better fit for that, for her. And with 2 losses in a row, she's going to have to bring it, man. She's going to have to come forward, fight for it, like it's her career on the line. And she's going to bring a great performance. I mean, if anything you could say, I mean, she's not the most skilled girl. Maybe you don't like the way she promotes, talks on the mic, stuff like that. But, you know, she's tough, man. And she brings it. She really goes out there, tries to win. She doesn't give up on herself. You saw her lose those first 2 rounds to Grasso, come back in the third, have a big round. She fought essentially on one leg against Roxy, so she definitely is someone that's going to go in there and give maximum effort. But Miranda Maverick is the same type of girl. She's very driven. She also goes in there and gives max effort. And both these girls are 2 of the more physical girls in the division. So I feel like Maycee Barber, when she was fighting at 115, fighting girls like, you know, JJ, I think she fought her at 125, but JJ obviously had fought at 115 before, fighting Hannah Cyphers. She fought Mallory Martin. She was fighting a lot of girls that were smaller than her by a significant margin, and she was able to use her physicality, kind of just, you know, get super aggressive, get in their face, throw big shots, get the takedown, and just dominate them. But at 125, I feel like she's going to have to up her skill level to kind of match these girls, because I don't think she's going to have that same physicality edge that she had at 15s. But, you know, she does have big power. I mean, she's going to have a big power advantage over Maverick. Maverick does have the striking advantage, because I just feel like Maverick has way tighter hands. She has better hand combinations, better movement, better footwork. Her kicking game is pretty decent, so I feel like she can't throw any of those naked kicks against Barber. I would kind of more work the hands and just try to kind of, you know, touch Barber, get her over aggressive, get her frustrated by, you know, countering with your boxing combinations. Maybe try to mix in those big elbows like you did against Joe Jua. And then if you could find a takedown, time that takedown, get on top of Barber, because Macy doesn't have good takedown defense. And it's the same thing for Maycee Barber, except I think Barber is just going to have to pressure on the feet, really try to throw big punches, get in Maverick's face, and try to get on top or get in the clinch, control Maverick against the cage, and you know, if she can get on top, use her ground and pound. And I feel like that's kind of be the tail of the fight. Who's going to be the better grappler here? Who's going to be able to implement their physicality, get on top, control against the cage, and just kind of dominate in that aspect. So, I mean, I feel like Maverick is going to be the girl that just goes in there with the better fight IQ. And Maverick has showed she can push a really solid pace, so I don't think Barber is going to be able to wear on her and slow her down. So I think Maverick is going to be right there with her. I don't know if she's going to be quite as physical. That's going to be interesting to see. But I think that she's going to be with her in terms of cardio, and maybe even better than Barber in terms of cardio. But I feel like jiu-jitsu-wise, Maverick is a level above as well. We did see Grasso sweep Maycee Barber in their fight. Roxy swept Maycee Barber as well, so maybe Maverick would even potentially be able to do that. And I feel like Maverick has better takedowns and better striking. So, you know, you're either banking on Macy using just kind of her super aggression and power, pressuring Maverick, throwing big shots, control it against the cage, or you're going with the kind of skills, technique of Maverick, and she has grit and physicality herself. So I'm going to go with Miranda Maverick in this one. I just feel like it's the safer pick here. I think, like I said, she isn't going to get bullied to the same extent of these other girls that Maycee Barber was able to do that to. I think Maverick is, you know, very strong, very physical herself, and she has the technical advantage. So I'm going to go with Miranda Maverick to get the win in this one. But this is a fight where Macy could go in here and, you know, look good. She's very young. And obviously, like I said, I think she's at a better camp now that suits her style a little bit better. And I also feel like if she can get on top, time one of those kicks that Maverick throws, get on top, she'll probably win the round. So there's path to victory for Maycee Barber, but I'm going to pick Miranda Maverick to get the win here. And up next here we got Darren Elkins taking on Darrick Minner. A very interesting fight here. Two grinders. Darrick Minner, he seems to finally be putting it all together. He had a very long regional scene fight career. It was filled with ups and downs, and finally got his chance in the UFC. And he's one of those fighters where it was kind of like he was down to fight anytime, anywhere. And that mentality led to a lot of his losses. He would gas out after strong starts, and half of his losses also came at bantamweight. The first 6 losses of his career were at 135. Minner's last fight was his first full camp there at Glory MMA, and it did look like, him teaming up with James Krause really helped his performance, and he leveled up there. He was more known as a first round or bust type of fighter, and he was a pretty decent sized underdog against Charles Rosa, but he was able to prove he can go 15 minutes. He got the win there. He took the unanimous decision victory. And this is a big fight for Minner, because if he wins, especially in dominating or exciting fashion, he'll probably get a top 15 opponent. But on the feet, Minner isn't really the best. He's not terrible, but he has good in-out movement. He keeps his guard high. He has a good right cross. He'll close the gap with that big straight or hook combo. And he has some nice power in his hands, and he can hurt fighters and then kind of jump on submissions. He will let go with a lot of low kicks and body kicks, but to me, his kicking game isn't that high level. He kind of almost just throws naked kicks to kind of invite guys to take him down. But Minner, he has 22 submissions. His wrestling isn't the best, but he is dogged aggressive with it. He likes to come forward, level change into singles, and then he will kind of drive fighters to the cage at times and chain wrestle. He will look for the double as well. And on top, he has pretty good ground and pound, really good back takes. He gets a lot of his submissions from bottom, though. When guys shoot in on him, he has a really wicked guillotine. He has a ton of guillotine finishes. He has good guard as well, good triangles, arm bars, leg attacks. And the way he strikes does give up takedowns. His takedown defense is not the greatest. He's always attacking guillotine instead of defending the takedown. Strong grapplers who can get on top, defend the submissions of Minner and pass his guard, have been able to dominate him. He does give his back in a lot of his losses, and although he has a lot of finishes himself on the ground, he's also been finished many times on the ground. So basically, all of Minner's losses have came against superior grapplers. He has been submitted 10 times, and so that's something you kind of have to look at when he's fighting another guy that's a grinder in Darren Elkins. Darren Elkins is a fighter I hope people appreciate, while he's here. He's fought 23 times in the octagon. He's won 15 of them. And it's not like he's a super technical guy. He's not a super athletic guy. So he's won a lot of those fights on pure grit. That's a very stellar UFC record. And he's picked up some big upset wins, some big comebacks. 37 years old. He's definitely seen his better days. But he was able to get a submission win last November. And, he'd lost 4 fights in a row before that, so he still kind of needs another win here to steady himself and show he has a few more performances left in him. I did hear him talking about, wanting to get back into that top 15. And I do think, Darren Elkins is still improving with his striking. If you watch his fight with Nate Landwehr, in the last fight, his striking kind of looked like it regressed a little bit, but I think it was just because he was just looking for the takedown the entire time. But against Landwehr, he was using a little bit more movement. His guard was a little bit better, and his boxing looked a little bit improved. I actually feel like Elkins on the feet has better boxing than Darrick Minner. Minner is going to have a big speed advantage, and he's going to be trying to kind of use that in and out movement to touch Elkins up. But Elkins, I feel like, is going to be able to land some counters, some big shots, and I think Elkins wears the damage a little bit better. First of all, if you're picking Minner again here, you have to buy into the narrative that he's a 3-round fighter now. Darren Elkins isn't going to get knocked out by Darrick Minner, most likely. Minner has 1 knockout win in his whole career. And, Minner would just become the second fighter to submit Darren Elkins. The only other guy that submitted Elkins is Charles Oliveira, who has the most submissions in UFC history, and that was over a decade ago. So, he's also in the gym all the time, Darren Elkins, with really good guillotine guys over there at Team Alpha Male. And Minner's only been to 4 decisions. He's won 3 of them. Elkins has been to 17 decisions. He's 12-5. He's a great wrestler. out of his 23 UFC fights, his opponents have only taken him down more than he's taken them down in just 3 of those fights. So he's lost all 3 of those. So when he does get out grappled, he does tend to lose. But Darrick Minner has struggled with wrestlers who can defend his submission barrage early, and Minner has been finished on the ground many times. If you watch Minner's fight with Chico Camus, you see a flyweight be able to take him down, control him on the ground. This isn't really Charles Rosa anymore. It's some of the worst takedown defense in the division. Elkins is going to make Minner work to defend the takedowns and to get takedowns on him. That guillotine of Minner is always dangerous, and the submission game of Minner is very dangerous. So Elkins has to mind his P's and Q's. But I don't think Elkins is going to be scared of the submission game of Minner. I see him going into the fire, working his game, a clinch game against the cage, his top control game if he gets the takedowns, and making it ugly and trying to melt and break Minner. And on the feet, I think it's pretty competitive, but I think Elkins has more composure and better striking cardio. I think he actually has better hands. I do think Minner is going to look for the calf kicks in this fight. They were effective for him in other fights, and I feel like Elkins is going to look for them as well because he was throwing them against Nate Landwehr. I just believe that Elkins has better movement. He has more technical striking with that lead hand and right crosses, in his right crosses, and that may be another avenue Elkins tries to do is keep it standing, pressure, and strike with Minner and going maybe working late takedowns. But Elkins has got a takedown in every one of his UFC wins besides his crazy comeback against Bektik, and I don't see him going away from that here. Looking at all the fighters that have beaten Minner, they're all strong grapplers or wrestlers, and I just don't think Minner is going to be able to get that first-round submission or grind out Elkins, who's the ultimate grinder. I think Elkins is going to be able to get the win here. So I know he's a little bit older. I'm not super, super confident. I'm going to say, he's definitely a lock or something like that. But I feel like Elkins should get the win. I think it's a good stylistic matchup for him. If he avoids that finish early in the fight, he's probably going to be able to grind him out. And Elkins is notoriously hard to finish. So give me Darren Elkins in this one. I think he'll probably be able to get it done here. Man, fuck, dude. Bantamweight is stacked. But next we got Kyler Phillips taking on Raulian Paiva. Kyler Phillips, he's back, and man, I feel bad because I picked him when no one was picking him, man. When he fought Gabriel Silva, I picked him, I bet on him. I was pretty confident he was going to go in there and be able to get the win. And then his last fight against Yadong Song, for some reason I, went the other way. I picked Yadong Song. I was a big fan of both guys. They're obviously both very good, but Phillips proved, man, he was on another level from Song, and it was one of the best fights I've seen, in a while. I felt like that was a really excellent fight. Song really performed very well also, but, ultimately Kyler Phillips just showed that he was a higher level striker in that one. But, man, Phillips, very fast, technical, explosive. I feel like earlier in his career he had a little bit of an issue with his cardio and his pacing. He would come out really fast, but now his cardio seems really good. It seems like he fights super good pace. His lead hand is super fast, man, super sharp. He has one of the best jabs in the division. Really good 1-2s. If he's forced to brawl, he will do that. He'll let go with hooks, uppercuts. On the Contender Series, he landed a nasty tight left hook that hurt his opponent, finished him with shots on the mat. Phillips also has a really good kicking game. I mean, really nice round kicks, front kicks up the middle. He'll attack all parts of the body. He has really nice spinning kicks, question mark kicks. He's gotten spinning back kick KOs. He's also gotten a question mark kick KO as well. So he's had some really nice knockouts with kicks. He is a really good grappler as well, man. He's good at getting to the clinch, working takedowns, taking the back. He isn't always looking to take the back and get the hooks in certain situations. He's just kind of looking to break you down, control you from that wrestling ride position. And he isn't bad at chain wrestling either. I mean, he's just overall a pretty solid wrestler. And when he gets on top, he'll either ride you from that position, he'll take the mount, land big shots. In his match with Victor Henry, he did win a lot of the grappling exchanges early against a really good grappler, but he gassed out and just got caught being stuck on bottom. He won all the grappling exchanges against Gabriel Silva, and I will say, I think he's not as good when guys can forward pressure him. But in his last fight, man, his counters and his slickness looked on a level above. I guess the best path to beat Kyler Phillips at this point that's been shown is put him on his back, make him wrestle a lot, and you could maybe get him tired. But Raulian Paiva, he's a well-rounded fighter. I mean, he's tall, rangy. He's more of a Muay Thai guy, a little bit flat-footed, comes forward. I feel like he's really going to struggle to find Kyler Phillips. I think he's going to get countered a lot, but he has a good jab, good straight right hand. He has heavy hands when he connects. I feel like at 125, he was a very big guy, so I don't know if he's going to have necessarily that same type of power at bantamweight here. But another thing Paiva has that I do like is really nice low kicks. I think he's going to have to try to land those calf kicks and really damage Kyler Phillips to slow that movement and just try to work that straight right hand. On the inside, if you do brawl with him, he has some nice hooks. He'll attack the body. He had some good front kicks up the middle, high kicks, but I feel like I said, he's going to kind of struggle with that distance control, and he's a hittable guy. He floats his chin. He is very durable, though, and he's only been finished by strikes one time, which was a doctor stoppage due to a cut. He has 4 knockouts himself, and, he's decent as a wrestler, but like I said, he has no takedowns in the UFC. I've seen him shoot singles and doubles against the cage. He's pretty strong in the clinch. He'll look for standing guillotines. He'll look to kind of try to jump on the back from standing. And he's a good scrambler. He's really good at creating kind of 50-50 positions and ending up on top. He showed really good scrambling ability against Togerio Bontarine. But I just don't think he's going to have the wrestling to take down a guy like Kyler Phillips. I don't think he's going to really try too much. I think he's just going to try to come forward, try to land his low kicks and his straights, and I think it's just going to be a different level of fluidity, movement, speed, just different level of techniques, feints, stance switching. I think Phillips is going to be a way better, way more dynamic striker, and I think Paiva is going to really struggle with that. So I got Kyler Phillips here to go in here and look pretty good in this one. And in the co-main event, we got Aspen Ladd taking on Macy Chiasson, and Aspen Ladd, she's making a return to the octagon after nearly 2 years away. She suffered a torn ACL and MCL in preparation for her last fight, and that's a pretty severe injury, especially for a wrestler. So I'm curious to see how she looks here, but at 26 years old, I do think she's going to recover fairly quickly and look pretty good here. But Chiasson, she's getting a big opportunity. She started her UFC career really good at 5-1. And she's beaten some good fighters, like she just defeated Marion Renault, she defeated Pandy Kianzad, and Macy Chiasson, she's one of the more dangerous bantamweights in the UFC. She's big for the division, she's shown knockout power, she has a 6-inch reach advantage, she's going to have a 5-inch height advantage. She finished all 3 of her fights on The Ultimate Fighter, and she also finished her first 2 UFC fights, so she's shown finishing ability, and with that reach, Aspen Ladd is very hittable. So, I feel like Germaine de Randamie knocked her out early in a fight. If I was Macy Chiasson, I would try to come out hot, look for that quick knockout finish. This is obviously a clash of styles. Macy's going to have to stay off her back to win this fight. Sometimes she lacks composure and how she strikes and just ends up in the clinch. And she will also throw naked kicks which get her taken down. In the clinch, Macy does have a tendency to give her back. She's is dangerous with their knees and with their elbows. She was able to cut open Marion Renault with an elbow in her last fight. And we've seen when Chiasson gets, on top, she's decent. But when she gets put on her back, she isn't very good. She does have long legs. Her guard is fairly hard to pass, but she makes very little attempt to stand up off bottom. She will try to work miss control and throw elbows, and she's a decent scrambler. I mean, she was able to reverse Sarah Moras with about a minute left in the round, and she does have some aggressive ground and pound on top. In the second round, she was able to, stuff Moras' takedown, reverse, get on top, finish the fight. Sometimes I do question Macy's fight IQ. I mean, she has power and a long reach, but she doesn't use her reach in her fights. She grapples with girls that she's clearly a better striker than. In her fight with Lena Landsberg, she spent the entire fight trying to close the distance, clinch up with Lena when she should have kept it at range and used her boxing. In the second round, she gave up position by trying to roll for a leg lock, ended up on her back for nearly an entire round. And those are the type of things that lose you a fight against Aspen Ladd. But Chiasson was actually able to use that leg lock attempt to sweep Marion Renault, kind of a similar thing in her last fight. So, I feel like her last fight was one of her better performances. She kept the range better. She threw some jabs, some 1-2s a little bit better. And she needs to build on that performance and, try to keep it long in this one. When Aspen Ladd closes the distance, just try to get in the clinch, maybe try to get that Muay Thai clinch, push her against the cage, control her there, because we have seen Ladd control it against the cage before. But Chiasson, man, she just shown she hasn't had very good takedown defense. Even Marion Renault was able to take her down a couple times. Control on top for Renault wasn't there, but for other girls it's been there, like Lena Landsberg. And I feel like with Aspen Ladd it will be there. I think Ladd will be able to dominate if she gets on top. I don't know if she'll be able to finish a girl like Macy on top, but I think she'll be able to control and do well with their ground and pound. But Macy does have a chance early on, in my opinion, to go in here and maybe get that early knockout, because she's going to have a huge reach advantage, height advantage. She's going to be able to have the power advantage, the striking advantage, and she has a little bit of a grudge in this fight. I mean, it's not like they have a personal beef or anything, her and Aspen Ladd, but I feel like she said it a little bit. She kind of intimated at it where she said that she thinks Aspen Ladd's camp might think this is an easy fight because they personally asked for Macy Chiasson. Another thing is, Macy just fought Marion Renault, who's Aspen Ladd's teammate, so there probably is some truth to that, where they maybe saw that fight, they thought, this is a good matchup for Aspen Ladd to kind of ease her way back in, and that could be seen as kind of a motivating factor for Macy Chiasson. So, Macy has some intangibles, she's been more active, she's gotten better in her performances, and she could go in there and, hit Aspen Ladd, knock her out, because she's just super hittable. Her striking, I mean, Ladd just comes forward. She, throws some 1-2s, and, she has some okay body kicks, stuff like that, but just very plotty, no head movement. And I feel like, Chiasson could take advantage of that, but more often than not, I feel like Ladd will be able to hit the takedowns, get on top, control, dominate position, and get the win. So I'm going to go with Aspen Ladd to be victorious in a return to the UFC and get the win here. Man, here we go. One of the best fights of the year so far. One of the best main events. We got Cory Sandhagen. It's going to be taking on the returning champion, TJ Dillashaw, who never lost his belt at 135. His last fight was a loss, 125 pounds. He went down there, tried to fight Henry Cejudo, got knocked out in 30 seconds. And obviously after that, he had the whole debacle with the EPO, the suspension, and now a lot of people, dislike TJ. They really, jumped off the bandwagon. They really questioned his whole career. And there's, a lot of accusations in terms of other fighters, people thinking that, he's been doing it for a long time. He's still doing it, stuff like that. So he definitely kind of has an asterisk next to his career a little bit, but he's going to try to come in here and he's going to use that as motivation, chip on his shoulder to prove that, he's going to come in here the second time around after failing his drug test. He's probably going to be fully, 100% drug-free, hopefully, and get the win here over Cory Sandhagen, get his belt back, and prove that, he was the best, with or without performance enhancers. But it's going to be a tough task. I mean, 35 years old, and they're throwing him right in here in a 5-round fight against the number one contender in Cory Sandhagen, who has 2 highlight reel knockouts in his last 2 fights, a flying knee, a spinning heel kick to the head. So this guy's been, accruing knockouts like crazy recently. And TJ's going to have to go in there and deal with that. But TJ wanted a matchup like this. I think he wanted this fight, and he's very competitive. He thinks he belongs to the top of the division. And at 35 years old, there's not enough time to just kind of be, down at the bottom trying to work your way back up. You got to go in there and you got to strike while the iron's hot, try to prove that you're still there, you're still at that level. And when you're looking at TJ, I will say, he looks significantly bigger on social media, even bigger than he was previously when he fought at 135s. I feel like he put on some muscle and he might weigh more in the cage. I don't know what necessarily type of training he's been doing over this 3 years, because I know he also had some shoulder surgeries and things like that. So, but he's probably been training for quite a while, because I know they had a scheduled fight earlier this year, and he's probably going to be in good shape, ready to go. But you never know, I mean, how drastic his performance is going to drop, or if he's going to look like the same guy here. So it's hard to kind of predict that. But Cory Sandhagen, I mean, he's been looking like a different guy in a good way in his recent fights. Seems like he's gotten some more killer instinct, and just overall, he's super awkward and strange for the bantamweight division because he's 5'11", and you don't really see that much. I mean, look at all the guys that TJ Dillashaw has fought. I don't think he's fought anyone that has nearly the same type of height as a guy like Cory Sandhagen. And I know TJ Dillashaw firsthand talked about how in sparring, his distance control, his reach, his height gave him a lot of issues. So on the feet, I do think Sandhagen, he has a really good forward pressure. He's actually a guy that can pressure forward and keep the range, use his reach while coming forward, which isn't really, that often seen in MMA, but he's really good at it. He can kind of get out of the way of punches. He brings his shoulder up and, will lean back. And he really does have pretty good ability to roll with punches. He has a good chin. We saw that in the Lineker fight. But really good distance control. He's hard to hit, really good feints. Throws really nice straight punches, really good boxing. He has really nice kicking game as well. Switches stances, gives a lot of different looks. He's a guy that is super dangerous as well against wrestlers because he looks for those flying knees, attacks like the one that he hit on Frankie Edgar that can just put your lights out with the one shot. Once he gets his range and his rhythm, he'll pick up the volume and really put it on you. He really attacks the body very well. And it's going to be interesting how TJ Dillashaw deals with that because TJ, he did struggle a lot with that movement against Dominic Cruz. And it seemed like a lot of his fights, a lot of fighters obliged him and fought kind of in that pocket against him. Obviously, guys like Cody Garbrandt, they're boxers. They enjoy fighting in that pocket. Renan Barão, Muay Thai guy, like to pressure, come forward, do his thing. And I feel like this matchup, at least striking-wise, is going to be a lot more difficult for TJ. He's going to have to work his way inside a boxing range, try to force Cory Sandhagen to trade with him there, because that's where Sandhagen is a little bit more uncomfortable. So I feel like that's where TJ is going to have his best, moments on the feet, is probably forward pressure, trying to get in the pocket, use big hooks, overhands, maybe try to mix in some low kicks. But really where this fight's going to be won, in my opinion, is if Cory can keep the fight on the feet. I think he's going to be able to get the victory. TJ, he's only fought 30 seconds in the last 3 years. He did get knocked out his last fight. I don't necessarily think he's chinny, but I do think Cory could maybe hurt him by being very pinpoint and accurate. TJ can get a little bit wild sometimes, get very competitive, win it back, and maybe Sandhagen can walk him onto something. But if TJ can get his grappling going, get the double leg going, get Cory Sandhagen in a clinch against the cage, get him on the ground, get on top, that's going to be his path to victory. The one thing I don't really see from TJ Dillashaw, though, that I saw from like Aljamain Sterling or even a guy like Rafael Sunsao, is TJ doesn't have the best top control. We haven't really seen many fights. Maybe his fight with John Lineker, but other than that, he hasn't had many fights in recent memory where he's been able to control on top and, win that way. And Cory Sandhagen is a pretty good scrambler. So hopefully TJ Dillashaw, has been practicing, top control, maybe jiu-jitsu, taking the back, things like that. Because if he has, then he's going to have a big chance to win here, because Cory Sandhagen is a very good scrambler, but his takedown defense isn't necessarily there. He does give his back a lot, and if TJ Dillashaw could take him down, take advantage of that, either control him on the ground, take his back, choke him out how Aljamain Sterling did, then, that's his path to victory, along with, if he could start to really accumulate a few takedowns early in the fight, it is going to open up his striking and make him more competitive on the feet. I feel like striking-wise, it could be competitive, but I just think Cory, once he gets his range and rhythm, is going to start to kind of prove himself the clear, superior striker a little bit. And I feel like if TJ comes in here and has a really good performance, looks like he hasn't missed a beat, he could come in here and, kind of go up, down, George St. Pierre type of thing, where he's taking him down a lot, pot-shotting him, and, gets the win here, dominates, controls on top. But I could also see TJ coming in here looking a little bit depleted, not looking the same. 35 years old is not young at all for a bantamweight. 2 years, 2.5 years essentially laid off. So it's just tough to pick him over an in-form guy like Cory Sandhagen, who seems like turned a corner mentally, looked like a killer his last 2 fights, gotten some sick knockouts, has performed very well in the UFC overall. And I just don't know. TJ has that top control or the jiu-jitsu to really control or threaten Cory on the ground. And I think on the feet, TJ is going to really struggle with that range, the distance control, the speed, the sharpness, the fluidity, the movement of a guy like Cory Sandhagen, the traps that he sets, the kicks. And I feel like Cory is going to be able to frustrate TJ and probably get the win here. But man, this is a really, really intriguing fight. You can never count out a guy like TJ Dillashaw, because he's someone that goes in there, gives 100% maximum effort. He's never gonna quit, and he's gonna try to go in there and finish Cory Sandhagen. I mean, this guy has some killer instinct. He brings it, and he's gonna be motivated for this one. So it's gonna be a hell of a fight. Cory Sandhagen is gonna have to really put it on and beat TJ Dillashaw. TJ is not gonna give him anything. So I'm gonna go with Cory Sandhagen, but I think he's going to have to earn it. I think it's going to be a fun back and forth fight. And, I do feel like TJ is a live underdog in this spot. So give me Cory Sandhagen, though, as the pick here. For my most confident pick this week, it's going to be Kyler Phillips. For the parlay of the week, it's going to be Kyler Phillips and Sijara Eubanks. So there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more content. Check out the Patreon. I am going to be putting on I already have a few bets for UFC. I'm going to be putting on probably some Octagon MMA bets, maybe even some BKFC bets. This weekend we got Paige Van Zandt versus Rachel Ostovich. Might do a video on that. Might do some more content over there. So make sure to check that out. Always going to be bringing content from different promotions over there. Bellator. Obviously, Dana White Contender Series is coming up, so that's been a big money maker for us. So definitely check that out as well. And thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe for the channel for more content, like I said, and I'll talk to you guys later.